Hey, everybody. I hope you can hear me. Welcome, everybody, to the Rooftops of America live stream for November, post Thanksgiving live stream. I hope everybody had a good Thanksgiving. Um, and you've had a really good November since Halloween. So, I probably should have had this a week ago, but honestly, I got past. I got past that and I figured I'd do it tonight, the last night of November, November 30th. Um, I would have done it tomorrow, December 1st, but unfortunately, I'm driving back from Nashville tomorrow, and I didn't know if I was going to make it back in time to be able to host the live stream. So, unlike last time, I can definitely see the chat window because I just saw Pretzel's. How are you? I'm doing great. I'm glad you're here, Pretzel. It's good to see you. I hope you've been doing well yourself. And Archie, how you doing? I'm doing well. Hope you're doing well too. Tonight's beverage of choice is this mocha porter, um, Santa's Private Reserve uh, mocha stout, I should say, not a mocha porter. It's really good. If you like that dark, rich style of beer, I would recommend this one for the holiday season. It's got a nice coffee flavor to it. Anyway, let's see. Convention dates are out September 18th through 20th. Do you think you will go? Um, which convention is that? I know it's a High Pointers convention, but is that for next year or the following? I thought, is that 2026? Because I do intend to get to 2026. Because I think 2025 is over in Bishop or back in California, if I'm right. Um, so I don't know. September tends to always be a little rougher because with the kid back in school, I got to sort that out. So summer itself is always easier. So July, um, August timeframe. So I don't know. Most likely, I'm going to say no, but who knows what could happen? And maybe. But at this time, I would probably say if I was going to be a betting man, I would bet on no. I do have one thing though. If folks are interested, um, I'm going to put my email in the chat real quick. Uh, and all right, America's Rooftops at gmail.com. I am doing a Rooftops of America holiday card. If you would like a Rooftops of America holiday card for this holiday season that we are now well officially in, send your address to that email and I'll put you on the Christmas card list for a Rooftops of America Christmas card. So, um, like again, America's Rooftops at gmail.com. Um, if you would like a card, that's the address to send. I will bring that up again at the end of the session too, and I'll also put it in the description for everybody. So, hey Jess, it's good to see you here. I know your schedule is notorious for the early morning stuff. I'm hoping folks that got shellacked by the winter storm that rolled through are doing all right and you're safe and sound. And if you can enjoy the snow, it's great secret training. So, and then, yeah, I'm hoping that a couple things, other things. One of the things I think I want to talk to is recap Texas. And I will say that Texas this time around was a lot of fun. Um, I flew out on Wednesday, Thursday. No, Thursday. Flew out on Thursday. Um, through from Philadelphia to Denver to El Paso and visited my brother. And then on Friday, we got the cameras rolling. We shot some stuff around El Paso and at Waco Tanks. If you get a chance, if you are in going for that Guadalupe Peak area and you have the time, I would strongly encourage checking out Waco Tanks. It was a really cool site. I'm glad we were able to check it out. I'm glad we were able to get some good footage there. There is a lot of history in that area, a lot of cultural artifacts, a lot of history dating back thousands of years, archaeological history, even more recent history with immigrants traveling through there, like in the late 1800s, through the area. It's definitely a site that's worth checking out. A bit of red tape, though, word to the wise. If you are going to go check out Waco Tanks, make sure that you go to the website and secure your passes, your day passes, before you go there, so you don't accidentally show up and find out that you can't get in. Because I believe they only let like 70 people. I think it's only 70 people a day are allowed access. So when Cody and I went there, we had actually secured our stuff about 2 weeks before. There was no it's not like Maine where if you're an out-of-state resident, you can't secure a permit or pass earlier. But it does definitely check out Waco Tanks if you get a chance. Guadalupe Mountain was this time around after Mount Marcy, after Mount Whitney, but definitely after Mount Marcy and Katahdin. Guadalupe Peak was a nice day out. I would argue, I think I would put the case out, and this is a great. This is if you need a topic, the next time you sit down around with a bunch of high pointers, this could be the one. What's the perfect state high point? And I will put my vote in for Guadalupe Peak. I really do think it is almost the perfect state high point. There's a lot of perks with that peak. It's got a trail that is not easy, but not crazy difficult. It's moderately strenuous, moderately difficult. You're in a really cool environment. You're in a national park, and the payoff at the top is fantastic with one of the best views that you're going to get. I think it is a great peak. And I think when you're looking at state high points, Guadalupe Peak has to be on there. I know for a lot of people, it is a favorite, but I almost think it's beyond just a favorite. I think it is sort of that encapsulation of a perfect state high point. So, yeah, Cody and I stepped off at 5:45 that morning, and we got to the summit at. We filmed actually instead of filming on the way down, we actually filmed on the way up. So it took us. We got to the summit around 10:45. It took us 5 hours to get there because we were working on the way up, knowing full well that because it was November, that there would probably be a lot of foot traffic because it's supposed to be a gorgeous day and it was a Saturday. Knowing that we needed to get our footage on the ascent more than the descent, because by the time, if we were trying to do it on the descent, we would have been overwhelmed with people everywhere. So it was great. We got to the top. Of course, it was windy because it's Guadalupe Peak. Why wouldn't it be windy? But it wasn't terribly cold. definitely like vest and long sleeves and a toque, but nothing. Not like when I was there the December years ago, where like it was plainly uncomfortable and miserable to be in that wind. Um, so we were we got up there, we spent some time up there, talked to some folks, met some folks from Wisconsin, which for me is always a plus. Um, Chatted folks up, and you know, I was a little miffed that I had forgotten my stickers because I do now have stickers for the channel that I'm handing out when I run into folks. Um, so I feel I missed an opportunity there to get some more traffic, but it definitely was a great day filming. Um, we shot everything. We shot everything in those two. No, we shot everything in. Yeah, I think we did shoot everything in 2 days because we did have this Sunday off. So um, when we came down the mountain, we went back over to Frijoles Ranch and we filmed there, and then we packed it up, headed out to the Salt Flats. Um, got some good drone footage, got some great uh, footage on the flats itself, and it was just it was a good experience. I feel like Texas this time around is much more in line with what I wanted to do. What I should have did the first time, but I didn't know enough to do the first time. But this time, I really feel that there's a much better story. I feel that it really does it provides more of that flavor for that Trans Pecos area, and it really tells the story of the peak better. So I'm proud of it. I'm proud of the work we did, and hopefully, we will get Texas out soon, uh, in the next couple months. I was going to try to get Ceres and Vesta out to finish out the solar system, but that's on hold till January because instead, Puerto Rico is now on the front burner and it is coming soon. So that is an exciting bit of yay for me. Like, I'm excited to get Puerto Rico completely wrapped and out the door so you can all enjoy it. Let's go to the chat quick. When and if I go to Texas, a ton of stuff I'd do on the trip. Big Bend, Guadalupe Peak, Carlsbad. By saying something, I would go to each of that. That's a great list. Big Bend is on the list. Um, I'd really like to get down there at some point. I know I have to go back to El Paso in June, but I'm not going to be going to Big Bend during June then. But I will be trying to get the highest point in the Franklin Mountains, which are the chain of mountains right by El Paso there. I want to say it's North Franklin Peak, and it's 7,000 and some change. It's a nice enough peak. Can't remember what it is on the Texas list, where it is the number, but it is the highest point in the Franklin Mountain Range, so that's good enough reason to climb it. So Guadalupe is an awesome hike. I totally agree, Archie. Um, and it was even more awesome this time around, not only because I got to hike with my brother, but because it was um, it was almost like it was such a nice change of pace after Marcy and after Katahdin, like just to get on a trail and hike it. Hike it all the way to the top with like no real crazy, you know, scrambling or, you know, rock gardens or any, like it was just relaxing and it was great. Um Carlsbad High Point is going to suck though. 2 hours either drive or hike to it. The drive takes you all the way around the national park to go back on a one-way road, and it's all dirt road. So that can be a little sus too. You hope that the roads are in good enough shape. That's a lot of dirt road driving. Um, I still that is speaking of Carlsbad, the caverns are still one of my things on the list that I have never done. I would like to do Carlsbad Caverns at some point. So it might actually happen in June. Um, so windiest high point I've ever experienced with North Dakotas. Our day up on top of North Dakota, we did it in May, and it was a wild, wild day. It was rainy, about mid 40 degrees, windy as all get out, muddy. That mud was so slick. Um, we actually had to get up the initial part of the climb, like once you walk across like the pasture, and you go through the gate, and you get finally get to the area where you need to go up. Um, we actually had to find a completely different route because the trails were so muddy and slick, we couldn't gain any purchase. We had to go where there was a little more scrub and stuff, and like the ground was a little more set to actually get to the top of that first initial rise. Um, so, Nicholas, hey, how you doing? I'm glad you're here. Do you think it would be a good peak to do in March? Guadalupe Peak? Probably, yeah. Um, I think that's a peak that if you do it in the late season, October, November, December, or I mean, even March, April, you're going to get a great day. I bet you it would be wild to see spring, like as it's blooming around you. I bet you it'd be really pretty. So, um, no state high points for me in 2024, but I want to start applying for the Whitney permit every year. Any tips? Yes. My tip is try to go with a crew and when you're all putting in for your permits, be very generous with your blocks. We we were open to accepting days from the middle of July to the third week of September. Um, I bet you if you went to the beginning of July, it'd probably be a little more. The trails, if they got heavy snowfall, you're going to be dealing with that, but you might have a better shot. Um, be open to if you're. I know Archie that you're fit, so you could easily get away with that day trip. 22 miles out and back could be huge, but you could do it. I know you could do it. So that would be my recommendation. Um, put in for like find your crew and you all put in for stuff and see what you roll. Um, I know other folks have been able to get the permit on the day of or whatever, but for me, it was always more in line with if I'm going to travel all that way out there, I'd rather have a sure thing. So it's the same reason I didn't really lose any sleep getting Katahdin Stream instead of Roaring Brook. Like I just wanted to have, if I'm going to go all the way up there to Maine, if I'm going to make this huge effort and spend basically a significant chunk of money, then I want to have a guaranteed shot. So, um, I've decided to focus exclusively on getting just state high points anymore. Oh, okay. I'm feeling where I'm at the point where I'm now so close to the end and none of them are easy and they're all like a concerted effort that I'm open now, a little more open to pursuing a few other things, um, high point related. But the truth is, the state high points are always going to be near and dearest to my heart. So, um, I haven't. So, full disclosure, Pretzel, I've never been to Alaska. There are 4 states that are remaining that I have never been to. One of them is a technicality, but I've never been to Alaska. I've never been to Idaho, and I haven't been to Montana. So Montana and Idaho are going to fall this coming year. I have been to Hawaii, but I never left the airport. Like I've been to Hawaii on a flight way back when I was in the 90s, flying home from Okinawa, Japan. We stopped at Honolulu and then would fly on to LAX. but I never left the airport. So that doesn't count. I suppose you could argue, like, yeah, you've been in the state of Hawaii, but, if you're going to do the rule of, be there, that to me doesn't quite count. So those 4 states are the last ones I have. So Alaska is, um, there's a lot I don't know about Alaska. Other than it's super big, it's super beautiful. My niece has been up and backpacked in the Brooks Range and said it was absolutely stunning. And I'm envious of her experience up in the Brooks. I think she was up there for over 50 days hiking through the Brooks, and it was just amazing. So, yes, my first time in Alaska may very well be going for Denali. There is a caveat to that, though, because my brother, of course, on the list, had to make his recommendations coming out of the academy at Fort Bliss. And one of the places he would like to go is Alaska. So if he ends up in Alaska, that could be super beneficial for for me and my Denali dreams. Let's put it that way. Yeah, I think that's a great rule for counting a state visit is leave the airport for a real meal or spend the night. I still kick myself because we have like 8 hours. And if I wouldn't have been 19 and paranoid, like I gotta, I'm on transit orders, in the Marine Corps, I need to stay, you know, I should have just got a taxi to take me to the beach or something. 8 hours is a huge block of time. Like you could do a lot of stuff in 8 hours. But I didn't. I was too freaked out, and uh, yeah, I decided to overthink it. So these days, if I had that option, I would definitely be out the door. Um, Archie, when I do Hawaii, I will probably do Mauna Loa and Mauna Kea for sure. Um, Hawaii's going to be really interesting with the logistics of it. Uh, that I really, it's probably going to get combined with a family vacation, so it's going to require some thought on how to pull it off. There's a lot to Hawaii, and it's one of these places that I could kill 2 weeks just trying to tell a really good Hawaiian story and not break a sweat doing it. So I really want to be able to capture a good sense of the place because it's one of these things like if I'm going to go all this way to get there, I don't want to half-ass it. I really want to commit to the bit and give a really good thing. Um, so definitely Mauna Loa and Mauna Kea. I'm still thinking I might probably hike Mauna Kea. So it's it's yeah. There's a lot of thoughts going to go into that one, um, and I'm hoping that one happens. If not in the latter part of next year, definitely in the early part of 2026. So, all right. So, hey, your boy Alex, good evening to you as well. I'm glad you're here. Um, let's see. Was there a high point that you genuinely didn't like? I felt really let down with Kentucky. Kentucky is disappointing for a variety of reasons. It's unattractive for starters. Like it doesn't have any great views. The one big viewpoint you do have. I'll see you later. Nice guy. Yep. The one big viewpoint you do have is overlooking like a strip mine. It just, um, I'm hard pressed to say I like visually it's unappealing. It's so much potential there. They could do so much with it. And the fact that they used to have an observation tower there, if the observation tower had just been maintained and you could go to the top of that and get a view, I'd probably rate it higher. The area itself has a fascinating, rich history, a really cool, the coal mine culture and all that is fascinating. Like it is a ridiculously pretty area too, but the high point, just no go. Hiking wise, Mount Marcy, still, I'm still suffering from the Mount Marcy hangover. Like, it just was a rough go. That one is on the list of also having a bad day at Boundary Peak. So, um, visually and all that, Kentucky is, eh, but physically, Boundary Peak was a bad. It's the only one I've ever gotten altitude sickness on, was Boundary. And Marcy, just because it's such an annoying hike. Like, you can't really get rolling along with all the rocks and stuff that you just have to constantly negotiate over. It, I don't know. Maybe take 20 years off my knees and I'd have a different story for Marcy. So, um, let's see. Yeah, Black Mountain. It looks awful. Yep. Yeah, and Archie, the Humalua Trail. Um, okay, it might be a stretch for a good sit down meal, but yep. Uh, does Boundary still take the Tyler Works experience? I think so. I think so. Um, because the thing that Marcy has going for it that Boundary didn't is Marcy was still like, for me, was, I filmed that whole New York episode with just myself. Everything that you see on camera, everything like the episode editing, every bit of it, except for the people that wrote that music, I did that. I did that, and it was just me. And that really was a validation of, yeah, you've come a long way, guy. You can film a big old, 45-minute documentary all by your lonesome and make it look halfway good. And so Marcy will always have that little bit. And, not only be able to do that, but tie in a 15-mile hike by yourself, soloed it. So that is the one thing that Marcy has that Boundary doesn't. Boundary I did with a team, and I'm glad I did it with a team. Totally glad I did it with a team. But it was just a bad day on the mountain for me. And so that was why I think Boundary would still be lower than Marcy, because Marcy has this other piece, this this challenge that I was able to do and do all of it. So that was, for me, really cool. Um, Eric, I'm doing Klingman's Dome and Mount Mitchell between New Year's. You said pro for my watch. Oh, um, is Mitchell open? Eric, I'd be really curious if I figured Christmas, not Trabad. uh, but I'm if Mitchell's open, I'd love to know. I'd love to know. I know that right now, even driving down, like, everybody's getting rerouted interstate wise. So I would be genuinely curious to know um, if you can get to Mitchell. I'll be very curious to know what it looks like too. If there was, like, if what the damage looks like. Um, yeah, I do think that's great prep for Washington and Mount Hood. So, um, yeah, boys, the strange state high point for me might either be Ohio's for its location or Wyoming time for the jagged peaks. Ohio's is the most manicured. It's like a high point in your with a high point with a manicured lawn. Like, it to me is really sort of funny to see, like, I'm rewriting Ohio right now, and it's got a fun, interesting story. But the high point itself, yeah, like, you walk onto the school campus and you walk. If you decide to summit, you could drive, but I've always parked uh, once you get in the gate and walked up the lawn. And that is really weird. I agree with you. Like, it is a really nice, well kept lawn. But yeah, um, Campbell to me is, I think Campbell would make like the best if you could say what high point would be like the best sledding hill, Campbell easily, I think, gets the title for what stay point high point is right now. If you just got a bunch of snow, would be the ideal sledding hill. It's Campbell. Like you don't have to worry about trees. You don't have to worry about like you could just start sledding right from the summit, right on down. So when I went to Campbell, there was construction. I want to say they're doing a museum of some sort. Um, Campbell's got a really cool history, and the radar site that was there, that Sage Line, that Cold War relic that it was, that really does. There's that system they put into place there, the computer, IBM computer software, and all that, actually has had long-term consequences for how we live in our world today. Like that system would later be used for other things. I want to say like for airline purchasing tickets or things like that. So the technology that went with um, that is fascinating, um, with those radar sites. So, but more on that when Ohio finally gets done. So let's see what else we got. I logged on late. Did you talk about winter endeavors? Not yet. Nope, haven't got there yet. I haven't even said what I was thankful for. Uh, considering this is sort of post Thanksgiving, I am thankful for one. I will say this real quick. Thankful for everybody that keeps showing up to these live streams, and I'm thankful for everybody that has ever subscribed or watched any of the Rooftops of America stuff. It means a lot to me. It's really cool to do it, and I'm glad people enjoy it. And I'm thankful that I finally got merch out the door. Um, but it's yeah. As for winter endeavors, um, my winter endeavors this year are I'm going to redo Tom Sauk Mountain next month. That actually is going to happen for sure. Over Christmas vacation, I've decided that it is time to go back to Misery and redo that particular episode and do right by it. Instead of, I think, what is it, 3 minutes, 40 seconds, something like that. It's super short, but to really get into to Tom Sauk. So um, I'm going to be prepping for Hood. That is, I really, I've had a wake up call um, with Marcy Cotton. Guadalupe Peak may have been a walk in the park, but still, hiking up there, I was like, yeah, I really got to take Hood seriously. I really got to, I've broke out, going long, the Ironman training book again, and I really would like to do Hood and Rocket. Um, so one of my big winter things this year is hopefully we get some snow. If not, I will go to the snow, spend some time in snowshoes, spend some time in crampons, and get more fit because I need to. Like, um, none of these are um, none of these are easy anymore, and I need to be committed to the bit. So Hood in the spring, yes, I'm looking at May. I'm looking at about the week of my birthday, ideally. So I figure, nothing like turning 50 and climbing Mount Hood. So, um, will you do Gannett Granite guided? I'm not sure yet. Gannett, maybe. I haven't really given Gannett any thought. That's a 2026 problem. So, Granite, I think a lot goes on how Hood goes and how Bora goes. Um, and then, because I feel if I knock those two out, Granite's going to fall right after it. Um, oh, your boy Alex, I know the answer to that. The Underground Railroad ran right through there. In fact, the area they call Grand Central Station, where the um, Underground Railroad is right there. So Eric Bora is no big deal. I love the confidence. um, so we'll see how they go. Um, I feel that Granite's going to be a good mental. It's going to be a good marker of where I am. So, will Agrahan probably be in 2028 ish? Yeah, it probably will be the last thing. So maybe 2028 or maybe 2027. I can't put it off long. Like I feel like it's one of these things that um, I don't think it will ever be the same year as Denali because both of them are going to require a substantial amount of time and investment. So that would be the it will be the last hurrah though. I think Agrahan is a nice way to close this out. Denali, yes, it has a perfect natural end like we did, but I think Agrahan is a nice, almost like a coda to the series. So, um, so Alex is throwing the trivia in the chat right now. If y'all are interested, um, I think I know that one too. If I had my other hoodie here, I could just look on the back of that and be like, it's this one. So I believe it's also another episode that at some point in the near future I'm going to redo. So, but winter plans for me, the only high point I plan on doing, Eric, to get back to your question, is Tom Sock Mountain in December, and then really be heads down, getting trained, getting ready for May. Um, that's now I should caveat that the only ones I plan on doing, if a target of opportunity comes up, let's say I got to go back to Wisconsin for something, then I don't know if I can plan it around. I'd love to get Illinois in the winter. I'd love to go do Charles Mound, get that winter ascent. I feel like Charles Mound, there should be badges uh, for the winter ascent in Charles Mound because you get the 1 weekend to do it. So, um, any interested in doing a winter ascent? For what are we thinking of? Yes, I am more interested in doing winter ascents these days to prep for the big peaks, Denali in particular. So I've had some good conversations with Lover Fishy about visiting Mount Washington and using that to leverage. For Mitchell and Klingman, I don't. Probably not for Mitchell. Um, and yeah, so, but Mount Washington, perhaps. Right now, I don't think I'm in good enough condition to do a winter on Mount Washington. I think I think I stand. I need to be better prepared. So I'll take a rain check, though. I will definitely take a rain check. That offer for winter 13 still stands. Thank you. I appreciate it. um, other things that I've wanted to, that I'd like to consider is, I think I would, I don't know, that's a good question. But yeah, if I'm going to do, I do feel a trip back to Mount Washington is going to be in the near future. Maybe not this winter, but definitely next, for sure. So, um, but yeah, so overall, November was good. Um, Guadalupe Peak was great to revisit. Had the best tamales I've ever had in my life in El Paso. Uh, and a little, God, I'll have to get the name for my brother and throw it in the chat. So if you're there and you love tamales, this was the place to go. Uh, and yeah, and a complete side note, um, that was the first time I was ever around Fort Bliss, and talk about a gigantic post that I'm glad I never got stationed on. Fort Bliss. I will say this though, Fort Bliss does have a historic replica of the original Fort Bliss that they would have built in the 1850s, and it's pretty cool. I liked it, so that was worth checking out. 18 miles. So your boy Alex Phillips, the Loggers were a conference rival uh, for the Medford Raiders. So I know the answer to that one. And the high school conference we all played in was the Lumberjack Conference. Um, it included Tomahawk, Phillips, Medford, Park Falls, Eagle River, and Lakeland. Lakeland is actually Minocqua, Woodruff. So how about that? Mm-hmm. It was. It absolutely was, Archie. The Yeah, I knew that one as a former. Yes, that is true. That is true. So, all right, it's 8:12. I have to get up at 2 a.m. tomorrow morning to drive back to Philadelphia from Nashville. So that means I need to wrap this up so I can get at least um, a couple hours of sleep in. I really appreciate you all stopping in, and it was great to catch up. The next the next live stream will also be on a Saturday. Why, pray tell? I will tell you why. It will be December 28th because the 29th, my nephew, who is stationed at Fort Campbell, flies back from Wisconsin for Christmas holiday leave, and I'm picking him up at Nashville Airport and driving him back to Post. So I will not be back in time to do the live stream on Sunday. So it's going to be on Saturday, December 28th. Yeah, and then we can talk about if we got everything we wanted for Christmas. So I really appreciate you all. Thanks for being here. It was great to catch up. And I will see you in a couple weeks. And since Christmas will happen before that, I hope you all have a happy, merry, and safe Christmas. And if one last thing, if you want a Rooftops of America holiday card, I'm going to put my Gmail in the chat. America's Rooftops at Gmail. Send your name and address to that email, and I will put you on the Rooftops of America holiday card list, and you can expect it in a couple weeks. So, anyway, on that note, have a safe and eventful night. Well, have a safe night. Maybe not eventful. Cheers.